Mark, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
Brandon Tatum, a very popular black conservative YouTuber who I gave a shout out to back in 2016 when he was just getting started because I thought it would be good to have more black Trump supporters visible on social media. But as we all know, if you back a DEI hire, it never turns out well.
And say, only reason I was a part of the conservative Inc. is because I'm black. Is that how you really feel, bro? You think it's because I'm black? This is why I don't fool with y'all. Let me just tell you what. We sourced these tumblers and then we sourced it from a guy who's an American patriot. But bro, these are the best quality tumblers that I have ever got my hands on. Boy, if y'all don't get that, and just know when you do get it, 100% of the profit will go to Charlie Kirk's family. And we're trying to raise, my goal was to raise $1 million for his family. And that's why we continue to push the products, even though we give 100% of the profit to them, because my goal is to get to $1 million so I can write Erica Kirk a check for $1 million on our behalf. All of us write that check, and she can decide where it goes. So go and support today. We almost caught up with all the orders. So just know that we're getting ready to take the pre-order setting off, and we'll be able to just send it to you without you waiting 2 to 3 weeks. I have never said anything negative about Mark Dice online, ever. And you know why? Because I thought Mark Dice was my friend. And if I had a problem with something he said, which I do have a problem with a few things he said, but if I had a problem with something that Mark Dice said, I would have just texted him. I have his number. He actually texted me before he made this video. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to get around to texting him back because I'm busy. I'm working. I'm a businessman. I got 20 plus employees here. I got multiple companies I'm running. I don't have time to text people back all the time. And he was asking me about Candace Owens and, hey, trying to get dirt on Candace Owens pretty much. And I was going to respond. So I'm glad I didn't respond to him because he ain't my friend. So who knows? He would have tried to say something to set me up to say something about Candace so he can go share. It's just all that weird stuff, bro. And he texted me that. I didn't text him back. He made this video. I wrote a comment like, dude, I'm disappointed. Like, what's the deal? You got my number. He texted me and said, only reason I was a part of the conservative Inc. is because I'm black. Is that how you really feel, bro? You think it's because I'm black? You say I'm a part of conservative Inc. What is conservative Inc.? I've been running my own stuff since 2018? I'm my own man. I don't take no money from nobody. I don't take donations. I'm not a nonprofit. I don't take investors. I built this with my own money, sweat, and effort this whole time. I'm independent just as much as he say he's independent. I wrote my own book. I created an e-commerce store that services, I don't know how many people. We got 20, 30,000 5-star reviews. We got, 100, 200,000 customers. That's something I built on my own, up all night building an e-commerce store, learning on YouTube how to do e-commerce. Built my own print shop right here. Didn't know nothing about a print shop. I looked it up online. I figured out which products to get. Obviously, I did some due diligence here. Ordered all the stuff. Hired a guy from Chicago. Didn't know him from Adam, to be honest. I took a risk. He came down here, built the shop up, and now look at what we're doing. Independent, self-made. But let me play what he said about me because, and it's funny, Nick, because I spoke about this in my video last night. This is why I don't come out and bash my true friends, because I say something you don't like and y'all turn on me. Just imagine if I was talking to him and kikiing with him about all this stuff and then he turned on me like this. This is why I don't fool with y'all. Roll the clip and I got to debunk the stupidity that he said. Roll it.
Brandon Tatum, a very popular black conservative YouTuber who I gave a shout out to back in 2016 when he was just getting started because I thought it would be good to have more black Trump supporters visible on social media. But as we all know, if you back a DEI hire, it never turns out well. And now Turncoat Tatum is trying to undermine Charlie Kirk's last wishes for Turning Point USA by trying to get them to sever ties.
Hold on. Charlie Kirk's last wishes. Where is it documented that what he's about to say is Turning Point's or Charlie Kirk's last wishes? Where in his will is his last wish got anything to do with Tucker Carlson? His last wishes? His last wishes. Okay, roll it.
Eyes with Tucker Carlson posting this just the other day. I will always support Turning Point USA. Tucker Carlson is antithetical to what TPUSA stands for, which is interesting because Charlie Kirk stood by Tucker and lost millions of dollars a year in donations from wealthy.
Why did he lose money in donations? Because Tucker is antithetical to TPUSA's mission. And just because you stand by your friend don't mean you agree with your friend. And just because you stand by your friend and you put him on stage and cause Turning Point USA to lose money when you have never propped anybody up or put anybody on stage like Tucker, it's, at the end of the day, it's because he's not a right fit. And just because you support him don't make it right. He had Tucker on stage. That don't make it right. What he was doing was pouting and being against his donors and saying, I'm going to double down. Charlie Kirk never in his career publicly lamented to or mentioned anything that Tucker did as far as Israel and none of the other stuff that Tucker is now doing. The things that Charlie Kirk spoke at SAS, Charlie Kirk didn't say none of the stuff that Tucker is saying. So what make you think he agreed with Tucker? But he was saying, I'm going to double down because they told me that I can't bring him on, so I'm going to bring him on anyway. That don't mean that was his last wishes or he actually supported everything that Tucker is saying. Roll the clip.
His donors because he wouldn't cancel Tucker from their primary major event coming up in December, America Fest. I do not support him at any TPUSA event. He should not be there, period. Again, that's not what Charlie thought, but you know what? Brandon Tatum knows what's best. He went on to dangle a $1 million donation in front of Turning Point while suggesting that they
I'm dangling $1 million in front of Turning Point. Listen to what this fool reads. Does this sound like I'm dangling money? Like, it doesn't sound like it's optional. Does this sound like I'm going to get or I'm not going to give it? I'm dangling money in front of. Now, I'm not going to get upset about it, even though it roused me up a little bit, because I worked for Turning Point ever since 2000. I've been working with or for Turning Point ever since 2017. I was doing speaking engagements pretty much for free. I was doing fundraiser events on behalf of Charlie because I love Charlie and I supported him, and they weren't paying me specifically to do fundraising. And in one event I remember that Charlie couldn't go to, I raised the most money that they had ever raised at that event in TPUSA history. I ain't need no extra money. They weren't paying me. I wouldn't get no real money from Turning Point USA. Went to 20-something universities. You know how much that'll cost if I spoke at 20-something universities? They weren't paying me pretty much nothing for that. Now, let him read it and just how silly this is. Roll the clip.
Sever ties with Tucker, saying that a friend asked me whether he should donate $500,000 to Turning Point USA. I said yes. We are raising $1 million to give to Erica, which she might use for TPUSA. TPUSA serves a bigger purpose than speakers on stage, but supporting Tucker is wrong for TPUSA. TPUSA has never supported a person like him spewing anti-Semitism. Again, undermining one of the last things that Charlie Kirk stood for before his assassination.
Hold on. People be really thinking that, can he not read? I know I can't read that good. He definitely ain't read. I can't read that good. He can't interpret what he's reading. It's very clear. I said, a friend asked me about donating $500,000 to Turning Point USA. I said yes. In spite of the fact that I don't like Tucker, in spite of the fact that I don't think Tucker should even be on stage. But I said yes. I didn't say, no, don't do that, man, because they got Tucker up there. That's not what I said. We're raising money, all of us. That means people on this channel that support the merch. We're trying to get the number up to $1 million so I can write Erica Kirk a check, and she can do whatever she wants. I don't know if she's going to give it a Turning Point, but I would imagine she's probably not going to take the money in her pocket and have to pay taxes on it. So giving it to Turning Point, a mission that she believed in, her family believes in, Charlie believed in, it's non-negotiable. And I go through and say, TPUSA serves a purpose bigger than the speaker on stage. That means that even though I disagree with Tucker, it's a small part of the vision of Turning Point USA. And somebody name a single person that Charlie Kirk has had on stage, that Turning Point has hosted on stage, independent of a debate or an interview, that Charlie directly interviews this person, that was anti-Semitic or saying crazy conspiracies about Israel. Turning Point USA, from the foundation of Turning Point, has been a pro-American, pro-Zionist organization. There has never been a day where Charlie has come out and said that they weren't. Charlie has debated on campus. Charlie has given speeches. Charlie has said 1,000 times at Turning Point USA. Charlie has had speakers that are staunch Zionists. Charlie Kirk still do business with Daily Wire. One of his last interviews before he died was with Ben Shapiro. What are we saying? His pastor, Zionist. Rabbis that he's close with, Zionist. Frank Turek, Zionist. You want to go down the list? Everybody on the staff. I don't know a single person on Turning Point staff that don't support Israel. I don't know of any. Zionists, Zionists, Zionists. All of their donors either are America First, pro First Amendment, pro Second Amendment, all of the things that we all believe, or Zionist. I don't know a single donor that don't support Israel. I don't know a single church that's associated with TPUSA faith and the pastors that associate that aren't Zionists. What are we saying here? His last wish is that an anti-Semite to be on stage. That's his last wish. I would argue that he was just saying, I'm not going to turn on a friend because you guys want to dangle money in my face. His last wish was this. Mark, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I want people to ask themselves this question. Why is Candace not on the stage? Why is Candace not a part of Turning Point USA in a more prominent way? Why is Candace not doing stuff for Blexit now that Turning Point has taken over? Why? Why wouldn't Charlie let Candace speak if he let Tucker speak? Why did Charlie tell Candace she couldn't speak? Because of what? And I would argue, because I know Candace going hard for Charlie, but he didn't invite her to the memorial. She didn't speak at the memorial. You would think that she would have spoke at the memorial. Why wouldn't she speak, but Tucker spoke? What are you trying to say? Are you saying she's anti-Semitic? Tucker isn't? Are you saying they're both are anti-Semitic? Who did the donors not want to be on stage? Was it Candace and Tucker? Let's give me a break. Give me a break. If it was really about friendship, then he chose one friend over the other, if you ask me. The reason why Candace wasn't on stage in many of these major events is because donors didn't want her on stage, obviously. And they felt the same thing about Tucker. But yet Charlie didn't like that they were turning on him, and he got emotional about it. And so he said, I'm going to have Tucker on there anyway. Not because I agree with everything he said, but because you're not going to tell me what to do with my organization. Now, do I think that was the most wise thing to do? No, I really don't. It was an emotional thing that Charlie did, and I don't blame him because he's a 31-year-old man. He's very passionate about the things he believes. He's a very loyal friend to people who are his friends. That was his stance, and that was the stance that he took. Do I think it was the right stance? I don't think it was the right stance, but I respect his stance. And that's why I continued to work with Turning Point, even though I didn't like Tucker. I go on stage, say what I got to say. He go on stage, say what he got to say. What are we even arguing about here? And the problem is that people don't want to be honest. This is why Turning Point is in the turmoil that they are today, because nobody's willing to be honest about stuff. And everybody's trying to play the fence. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to say this. Turning Point, if they don't get it together, will cease to exist. I'm telling you right now, and I am ticked that the stuff that's going out about Turning Point USA is not combated in a more aggressive way. I know so many people that is questioning whether they should support Turning Point USA because of what's going on in the ethers, in the ethosphere. Many people are questioning. All had to be done is that, Tucker, you can't do the major events because the people who support this organization don't want you here. And I tell the story this. We had theological differences, which I think is nonsensical. An opinion. And I talked to them on the phone and I said, I won't mention theology on the stage. I don't have nothing to do. I don't even talk about it really. And they disagree with my theology. So I was not invited to any of the Turning Point Faith events, which I'm one of the biggest Christians in the movement right now that stand up for Jesus Christ on every platform that I've ever been on. But I didn't cry and say, I said, you know what? I understand, man. God gave me a platform that's bigger than any platform you can give me anyway. So I can do my own Christian stuff on my own platform. I'm not tripping, bro. I'll still do the thing because I care about the kids. I care about the young people. I'm on campus with these young people. I see the sacrifice they make. I'm on campus. I will support them forever. And Charlie Kirk, I didn't like the fact that they did that. I was upset with Charlie Kirk over that, but I never talked to him about it, so it wasn't a big deal. If I really was mad enough, I would have called him. But I was like, it's all right, man. If they don't want me to speak because of something else, when they got Tucker up here talking bad about Jews, I said it is what it is. That's not my place. I don't run the organization. If I don't like it, I don't have to work with them. But I do love Charlie, and I do love what Turning Point stands for. So I say I'm going to work within the capacity that God has called me to do, and whatever I can do to support and serve, that's what I'm going to do. But if and you know why they didn't want me in Turning Point Faith? Probably because a donor said, we don't want Brandon at Turning Point Faith because of his beliefs. Well, one belief that's really, in my personal opinion, the belief is semantics. But a donor probably told them, we don't want Brandon there. A donor probably told them, we don't want Candace there. And what did they do? They didn't allow me to be there. And Candace wasn't allowed to be there. But at the end of the day, because I'm a grown man with kids and responsibilities, I'm like, I can deal with that. That's fine. Because I think it's important that the young people hear conservative voices. I think it's important that I go to campus and I give them life and hope, because not many people are willing to do it. The only people really turned campuses the last 2 years was me and Charlie. Charlie had his big major events and I had smaller events. I would go to an event, it'd be 10 people there, and I still showed up. And I'm a big deal. You know what, that kind of hit my pride a little bit. But I made a promise to God a long time ago. I said, God, I don't care if it's 3 people. I don't care. Actually, in my dream, it was 2 people. I said, I'm going to still preach the gospel. I'm going to still show up. I got on them flights, leaving my family, flying all across the country because I care. It's bigger than just a speaker on a stage. To be honest, I'm finna give the tea. To be honest, the most important part of Turning Point isn't these major speaking engagements. That's show. That's not the substance of Turning Point USA. That's irrelevant to me. A bunch of kids come together and everybody get on stage and say the same thing in a circle. That's not what Turning Point is mostly about. That's the flashy things that's in your face. Rah rah! Look at this. It's like a Super Bowl of the month. Everybody comes. Everybody get to see all these famous people. That's not the crux of why I support Turning Point and what Turning Point is all about. Turning Point is all about the young people who are on that campus taking arrows to save a nation and getting paid nothing. They're volunteering on their campus. That's what Turning Point is about. That's why I say I'll support them no matter how many idiots they put on stage. There's a few of them that I don't agree with on stage, and Tucker ain't the only one. There's a couple of them that shouldn't even be speaking, to be honest, that are fake, fraudulent. I see these people. I see them backstage. I see how they move. These people are fake. But at the end of the day, that ain't my place, because we all should be working together to try to get these kids. It's about the kids. It's not about me. It wasn't really about Charlie. It was about God's mission through us, helping the next generation be uplifted so we can change America for the better.